What if the person you loved most stepped into the night and never came back? She was just minutes from home, a shortcut she'd taken before. No scream, no struggle, just silence. And by morning, that silence became a mother's worst fear. The evening air still clung to summer warmth as Emily Rae Carter waved goodbye to her best friend, Maya, outside a modest two-story house on Willow Creek Lane. It was 7:38 p.m. The sky burned a low orange, and cicadas whined like distant alarms that no one ever listens to. "I'll text when I'm home," Emily smiled, the kind of soft, half-smile she gave when she didn't want anyone to worry. She never texted. She never made it home. And the shortcut she took? It was nothing more than a thin dirt trail behind Silver Lake High, a path between trees, cut through the edge of an old maintenance yard, barely lit, barely legal to walk through. But it was faster. And Emily didn't like being late, especially not on nights like this. Her mom had the late shift, and Emily hated the idea of her coming home to an empty house in the dark. I kept refreshing my phone. I kept checking the street. Danielle whispers now, sitting at the kitchen table with a cracked coffee mug in her hands. Her eyes are red. Her nails are bitten to the quick. She always texted, even if her battery was low. Always. Her voice breaks when she adds, "I should have picked her up. I told her I was fine with it. God, I told her to walk." By 8:15 p.m., Emily's phone had gone dark. Not off. Dark. It rang twice for Maya, then once for her mom, then nothing, like it had been swallowed. And when the clock blinked 9:03 p.m. and Danielle still hadn't heard from her, she called the police, only to be told, "She's probably just out with friends. Give it a few hours." But she wasn't, and Emily didn't have other friends. She was weirdly quiet when she left, Maya recalls, like she was thinking about something. She even paused before heading down the trail, like, I don't know, like she was listening for something. Maya wipes her face. I told her, "You sure you don't want to ride?" And she said, "It's just 10 minutes. I'll be fine." That was the last time anyone saw Emily Rae Carter alive. At 6 a.m. the next morning, a jogger reported finding a broken phone case and a silver sketchbook beside the trail. Inside the sketchbook were pages, torn, ripped right down the middle like someone wanted them gone. But one page was still there, a drawing of a man standing in trees, with a single line beneath it. He said no one would believe me anyway, and from that moment on, the question was no longer, where is Emily Rae Carter? It became, who knew she wouldn't make it out of those woods alive? And why did she draw his face before she vanished? What if the last thing your daughter ever drew was a warning? Not a fantasy, not a sketch from her imagination, but a real man. And now that man might be the last person who saw her alive. Because when police looked closer at the drawing, they realized Emily had been trying to tell someone, and no one had listened. The morning after Emily vanished, a cold wind swept through Silver Lake, carrying a silence that felt heavier than the trees themselves. Detective Jordan Hale stood at the trail's edge, holding the torn sketchbook in gloved hands. The drawing haunted him. It wasn't artistic. It was frantic. Pencil marks dug into the paper like she was racing time. Eyes wide, face shadowed. A man with a long coat and no visible mouth. It was as if she'd drawn the idea of fear. Hale ran his fingers over the bottom of the page. Just beneath the figure, barely legible beneath the smudge of graphite, it read. He said, "If I tell, he'll find me anyway." And in the margin, as if added just before the page tore, Shadow Sketch 99. It wasn't a name anyone in her family recognized, but it was a username, and it would become the first lead in a case that had been treated as a teenage runaway. "I never knew about that username," Maya said, holding her breath like she was scared of hearing her own voice. "I thought we told each other everything, but..." She never mentioned him. Her hands trembled as she pulled up Emily's old art-sharing app on her phone, a place where they used to post sketches anonymously, a digital gallery for teen artists. Nothing dangerous, until now. When she typed in Shadow Sketch 99, the account was gone. Deleted. Scrubbed clean. except for one thing. Emily had bookmarked one of his old drawings, still cached in her app. It was a charcoal sketch of a girl with long hair, walking alone down a dark trail. Detective Hale stared at the drawing. It was Emily, or someone meant to be her, same jacket, same posture, same shortcut trail. And at the bottom, scrawled in the corner of the digital sketch, "You never see the last moment coming." "They told me it was probably nothing," Danielle whispered. Her voice was hollow, like her chest had collapsed inward. "But a mother knows. A mother knows when her child's scared. And I know something was following my daughter." She paused. Something she was too afraid to name. Within 48 hours of Emily's disappearance, police traced the username to a VPN masked account, used through a public Wi-Fi at a local library, 5 blocks from the trail. No security cameras, no login names, no fingerprints, just a seat tucked in the far back, where the window overlooked the path Emily disappeared on. She was drawing what she couldn't say. "That's what kills me." She was screaming in silence, and the only place she felt safe doing it was paper. And that's when Maya remembered something that made her blood run cold. A week before Emily vanished, she said this. Like a joke, like it meant nothing. "I think someone's watching me sketch. But only when I draw the woods." She laughed it off. But now, Maya couldn't laugh, because the sketchbook wasn't fiction. It was a map, and the trail Emily took, it wasn't a shortcut. It was bait. What if the man your daughter feared never left the woods? Someone was seen lurking near the trail. Again. Same coat, same stare. And this time he was watching another girl. But here's what no one expected. He wasn't just watching. He was waiting, because what Emily feared most might still be out there. The sun had barely broken through the clouds when Detective Hale got the call. A local woman, out walking her dog near the same trail Emily vanished on, reported seeing someone. Not just someone. A man in a dark coat, standing still between the trees. Watching. Not moving. Just watching. The woman described it perfectly. He didn't blink. Didn't speak. Just stared. And when I looked again, he was gone. That was 3 days after Emily disappeared. And when officers rushed to the scene, the only thing they found was a cigarette still burning on the ground, next to a page from Emily's sketchbook. This page had never been found before. It wasn't torn like the others. It was deliberately folded, clean, preserved, drawn in red pencil. The sketch? A tree-lined trail. Emily's shortcut. And in the distance, barely visible, a silhouette of a man. But this time his mouth was open, like he was finally ready to speak. "I know my daughter's art," Danielle said, holding the page in shaking hands. "This one wasn't done in panic. This one was done before she vanished." And then she whispered, "It's like she knew she wouldn't come back." Detective Hale changed his strategy. This wasn't just a disappearance. It was a choreographed crime. He ordered a deeper search of the trail and its surrounding woods. Within hours, dogs picked up a faint scent path that ended at a chain-link fence, behind which sat a long-abandoned utility shed. It had no power, no records, no reason to be open. But when they pried the rusted door free, inside, they found a sleeping bag, a flashlight, and a wall covered in scraps of notebook paper. Drawings of Emily, over and over. From behind, from the side, from just a few feet away. That means he saw her, not just once. He was out there while we were still messaging, watching her, following her. And she never told me, because I think she thought no one would believe her. That night, as Danielle lay on her couch staring at the ceiling, her phone buzzed. Unknown number, no ID, just one message. "She shouldn't have drawn me." Attached was a photo. Low quality, blurry, but unmistakable. It was a picture of Emily, standing on the trail, taken from behind. Timestamped, 7:41 p.m., 1 minute before she vanished. And just below that photo, in all capital letters, "She was never supposed to show anyone." Danielle dropped the phone, not because she was afraid, but because the photo wasn't taken from the trees. It was taken from inside the shed. Which means whoever did this never left, and they may be watching again. What if your daughter left a message, but was too afraid to send it? Not a goodbye, not a confession, but something darker. A voice message hidden in her app. Untouched, unsent, unfinished. And when her best friend hit play, they heard something in the background. Something breathing. And Emily whispering, "If this gets out, it's already too late." It started as guilt. Maya Torres hadn't slept in 3 nights. She kept rereading old texts, replaying voice notes, looking for anything she might have missed. That's when she remembered the art-sharing app, the one Emily never told her much about. Not just a place for drawings. It had a private inbox and a feature few people used. Voice drafts. Emily used it once. Saved. But never sent. And when Maya opened it, her hands turned cold. There it was. 0:47 seconds. Time-stamped the night before Emily vanished. Just labeled. Don't. Maya hit play. Static. Faint hum. Then Emily's voice. Shaky, whispering. Like she was afraid to speak louder than her own breath. "I didn't mean to let him see me. I thought I was alone." But he was there again. Just standing. Waiting. I don't know how long he was watching. There was a pause. You could hear her inhale, not like she was scared. Like she was deciding something. Then her voice dropped lower. "I think he's inside. I didn't leave anything open. But I can hear something. Not footsteps. Something else. Like someone trying not to be heard." Maya dropped the phone. "I heard her breathing. And I heard something else," Maya told Detective Hale, clutching the phone like it was alive. She rewound it 3 times. On the 4th listen, Hale heard it too, barely there, but real. Faint exhale. A different one. Too deep. Too close. It wasn't hers. Someone was there. Danielle sat on Emily's bed that night, gripping a hoodie that still smelled like her. "She never told me any of this," she whispered. She would talk about grades. About the cat next door. About Maya. But not this. Not the fear. Her voice cracked. What kind of mother doesn't know when her own child is afraid to sleep? The room was too quiet. Like the world was holding its breath. Like it already knew what they were going to find next. Detective Hale stayed late that night in the station. He kept rewinding the audio. Not for the voice. For the sound underneath. There was a rhythm. Not mechanical. Not natural. Patterned. Like someone pacing. Counting. Waiting. He filtered the noise. Slowed it down. Until the background whispered something new. It wasn't just sound. It was a hum. And just at the 43-second mark, a male voice, very faint, low, deliberate. "You don't run before the 3rd time." Then it cut. She was in danger long before she vanished. She just didn't know which moment would be the last. And whoever this man is, he gave her rules. He paused. And rules mean games. Danielle stared at the message on the screen. Her daughter's voice frozen in fear. Then she noticed something Maya hadn't. The file had been accessed. Not by her. Not by the police. Hours before Maya found it. And the device it was accessed from wasn't listed, which means someone else heard that recording. And they wanted her to know. They were always one step ahead. What would make someone stay silent? After seeing a girl who was about to vanish, he wasn't a stranger. He saw Emily just days before she disappeared. And he remembered her. Not because of what she said, but because of what she didn't. Now, months later, he finally speaks. And what he saw rewrites everything they thought they knew. When Detective Jordan Hale followed up on a tip from a service worker downtown, he didn't expect much. The case had gone cold. Public interest had moved on. But this witness, a delivery driver, said something that made Hale stop in his tracks. She looked lost, but not in the way people look when they don't know where they're going. She looked like she was waiting for something she didn't want to arrive. The man hadn't seen Emily on the night she vanished. No, he saw her 3 days earlier, sitting alone near the back exit of a downtown bookstore. Not sketching, not scrolling, just still. He delivered supplies twice a week and always used the back alley. He swore he saw her before. But that day she was different. She kept glancing over her shoulder. But here's the thing. She didn't look scared. She looked like she was trying not to be noticed being scared. That one sentence forced Hale to reanalyze everything. There was no record of Emily being near that location. Not in her messages. Not in her location history. But when Hale pulled footage from a nearby parking meter surveillance camera, the grainy video confirmed it. She was there. Alone. No bag. No sketchbook. Just pacing slowly, as if rehearsing something. And then she stopped. Right before a silver vehicle pulled into frame. When Hale showed the footage to Danielle Carter, she didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just whispered one thing. That's her freeze face. She used to get that when she saw someone she didn't want to talk to. The silver vehicle parked for exactly 2 minutes. No one got out. Emily didn't approach it. But her eyes locked on it the entire time. Then it pulled away. And that's when she moved. Fast, walking in the opposite direction. Hands clenched, head down. She said she'd been getting picked for something. I thought she meant for a scholarship or some art show. She said, I didn't ask for this, but I don't know how to stop it now. I never asked what she meant. Now Maya was certain. It wasn't art. It was someone. Someone Emily thought had named her. The delivery driver gave Hale one more detail. One that had haunted him since. When I asked if she needed help, she didn't say anything. She just looked me dead in the eye and whispered. She just said I'm okay. Thanks. Then she smiled, like she was trying to cover it up. That smile wasn't for me. It was for him. Wherever he was. Just before the vehicle leaves, Emily opens a small juice bottle and drinks half. Then tosses it in a trash bin. First, Hale ignores it. But a junior tech analyst flags something important. That trash bin had been emptied. Except for one thing that clung to the inside liner. The label from Emily's bottle. And written across it, in pen, faint but visible under the right light, were 4 words. IT started with him. Hale stared at those words, over and over. She didn't say who he was. She didn't say what started. But she made sure that message ended up where someone could find it. Eventually. And now he knows. Emily Rae Carter was never just missing. She was leaving clues piece by piece. Because she knew something no one else did. She wasn't the only one. Did you ever feel like the world kept moving? While you stayed trapped in one single, unending moment? Because for Emily's mother, every ticking second after that night became a life paused. And the moment the detective said the words, "We found something," her world cracked open again. Not with relief, but with another fresh wound. They said it had come from a routine check. An officer, 3 towns away, had pulled over a car with outdated registration. Nothing unusual until he ran the name linked to the address. Leah Jensen. Her name was still active in the system. And her phone, the same number they'd long believed to be disconnected, pinged briefly. Once, a single pulse on the grid. Then nothing. For days, Emily's parents had begged authorities to trace the signal, to comb the nearby gas stations, to check CCTV from the surrounding blocks. But the trace led to a stretch of nothing. A location in between, no stores, no homes. Just asphalt and silence. But the most chilling part wasn't the location. It was the timestamp. That single ping came exactly 1 year to the day from when she vanished. Not the day before. Not the day after. The same hour. The same minute. Felt like a message. But from who? From Leah? Or from someone who knew how much it would unearth? The detective didn't sleep. Neither did Emily's mother. She sat by the window again, the one that hadn't been opened in a year, fingers trembling as she clutched her daughter's last school photo. The edges were fraying, just like her. They brought in data analysts, forensic tech teams, even out-of-state cybercrime units. The phone company claimed the number was inactive, impossible to reactivate, yet it pinged. And when they requested the data log, it showed something stranger. It wasn't a call, not a text. It was a voicemail, 1 second long, empty, silent, but at the very end, the tiniest whisper. So faint they had to clean the audio over 20 times. Then came a breath. Then 4 words, barely audible. "He still has me." Shock froze the room. A detective had to leave. Emily's mother screamed. Her father collapsed against the kitchen floor. They played the audio again, and again, and again. Each time it hit harder. It sounded like her. A year later, a whisper from a place no one could find. But if she was alive, why that message? Why now? And who was he? Was Emily reaching out? Or was someone toying with the family's hope, holding her pain like a puppet string? The whisper cracked something deeper than bone. Because now it wasn't just a case of a missing girl. It was a haunting, a countdown, and someone somewhere was keeping score. What if the person they trusted to help was the very one hiding the horror? For nearly a month, the town mourned her like she was gone forever. But what no one expected was that the trail she left behind would point directly to a place they never dared to look. A truth so close, it had been brushed aside by everyone. The pressure mounted like a storm. National media attention turned the case into a spectacle. But behind the cameras, her mother was unraveling. Grieving a daughter she refused to bury without knowing. "I told them she didn't just vanish. I felt it. In my gut. She didn't choose this." Her voice cracked in front of the courthouse steps. The silence that followed was heavy. No one had real answers, just hunches and guilt. But then, something shifted. A piece of surveillance footage, previously dismissed as irrelevant, resurfaced. A shadow, a second figure trailing behind her. The timestamp aligned exactly with the time she was last seen walking home. The figure wore something familiar. When investigators zoomed in, they saw the logo of a local business, a quiet repair shop run by someone no one had even considered. He was known for fixing things, radios, phones, even helping students with their bike chains. Quiet, predictable, invisible. But in the background of that footage, he wasn't fixing anything. He was watching, following, waiting. Police brought him in for questioning. He denied everything. Calm, unfazed, almost robotic. "I didn't even know her," he said, staring blankly ahead. But then came the forensic evidence. A fragment of her earring found under his workspace. The DNA matched, and in that moment silence cracked open. His demeanor changed. "It was an accident," he muttered. "She fell. I panicked." But the autopsy told another story. No signs of a fall. Signs of restraint. Signs of a struggle. The courtroom was packed. Her mother sat in the front row, gripping her daughter's scarf. The last thing she had left. He never looked at her once. But as the verdict was read, guilty on all counts, the room erupted in something no one expected. Not applause, but sobbing. Not just from her family, but from strangers. From people who'd prayed, searched, hoped. Justice doesn't erase the pain, but sometimes it gives it direction. As the gavel fell, her mother whispered through tears, "She didn't die in vain. You hear me? She didn't." And that's when the crowd outside began to chant her name. Not as a victim, but as the girl who led them to the truth. Her story was never just about the end. It was about the silence that refused to stay quiet. Subscribe to the Veil of Secret for more stories that seek justice, uncover truths, and remember those who should never be forgotten.